Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to this week's episode of Quickly Casual. I'm your host, Srekcuf5. Joining me, as always, is the jackass Dorky Dev.
Oh.
And then we have a super special guest, Caver J.
Oh, I can't say hi this time. Fuck you. I'm out.
You make fun of the way I intro the show, I change it. Fuck you.
One time. One time.
Well, okay, yeah, he was making fun of the intro, but he was also like in shock of, he usually pays me a compliment.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, not tonight.
Nope, not tonight. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tonight is probably going to be one of those weird moments where we're going to mostly agree, I think.
All three of us are going to agree.
Yeah, for the most part.
Probably.
Mhm.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, me and Jay have similar backgrounds, so obviously we have similar tastes. So,
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how we're going to rate these, by the way. Do I give... So, before we start, this should be our rule going forward for 3 people.
Okay.
This will be the presidents for this, okay?
Presidents.
So, Shut up. The scores have always been rated by 2 and split the difference, right? And if it's a quarter, we round up to the nearest half or full.
Yeah.
With a third person in there, should we have a separate 3-person score alongside it? So like the standard critically casual score that we can fall back to with it's just me and Steven, but a secondary score with all 3, or is it just one score overall?
I kind of like just having a general har score because we are har.
But let's say, like, if I was someone external, I would appreciate your whole separate scoreboard thing. But it's like,
well, this just goes for anyone who's not on the show.
So often. We could do it like the main for the average score. Normally, it's just you and me, and then we can use the guest score as like bonus points towards the end. Like,
I promise you just pointed your thumb the wrong way.
You really did.
Like,
it could.
I promise you, whatever score you two give it, it's the highest score it's getting all night.
We can start making this mathematical,
It's the highest score it's getting all night.
Oh, it's a good question.
Because if you want to, we can do a separate. We'll do you two.
Okay.
You two as the score, and then I'll chime in, and I think that's fine. That doesn't throw off your scorekeeping any.
All right, it works for me.
I just need to create this. I'm just updating the thing. I'm adding 4 columns. Oh no! That suddenly went wrong.
That's the sound of somebody who's fucked up and doesn't know how to fix it.
No, it's an easy fix. It's just that didn't go the way I planned.
Control-Z.
Okay, so enough of that. Let me start talking about what we're doing today, which this week, because I'm so amazingly clever and I come up with the best titles every single week, compliment myself more.
Landed on thick, ain't he?
Yeah.
Welcome to every fucking week with this guy.
I called this week Ice and Fire because I'm so smart.
Oh, Christ.
Thank you. We're talking about the Golden Compass, and then we're gonna go into Eragon, and then we'll wrap everything up with news and wrap up. Jay's drinking already. I love it.
It's a sip and drink.
No worries. All right. So, anything else we want to talk about before we start hopping into the Golden Compass?
I mean, let's just hop into it, I guess. I mean, like,
I must say,
let's jump on that line.
I've been waiting to lay into one of these, so let's just get to it.
All right, we'll get to that one in a second. First, we're starting with the Golden Compass. Ha. Oh yeah, the Golden Compass. Hi. Starting this movie? Do you want to do your fancy thing there, Dev? Give us the.
Yes. So, Golden Compass coming out December 7th of 2007. With about a 2-hour runtime. Chris Welts directed it, and the budget was a resounding $180 million, with an opening U.S. weekend of $26 million. U.S. gross for its entire time in theaters was $70 million, and worldwide $372 million. So it did not make the budget it was hoping it would get back.
Let's say it barely made its budget with the worldwide income.
Yes, it did not perform well in America.
I must say, and once again, worldwide,
Mhm.
it took the entire planet for that movie to break even. I think we need to appreciate that a minute.
But believe it or not,
God.
with the movie choices we've picked lately, that happens more often than not.
No, I have no trouble believing it. I might not be able to see every episode of the show, but I do know your list.
Yep. Pops up.
That's all, and that's all I need to know, really, for that particular fact. That's all I really.
And that's
need
why you don't watch every single episode.
Honestly, for some of them, you're not wrong. I'll be straight up with you guys. I'm like, I can't do this. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't know if I should feel sorry for you two or if I should applaud the fact that you watch those movies. I'm trying to be a little restrained at the beginning of the show,
No worries.
but you watch those movies week after week after week.
Well, we do hit some really good ones. That's the
You
thing.
do
we
hit
try
some
to,
great
we,
ones.
we
You
do
hit
try to
some-
bring balance. To
You
it.
do hit some great ones.
Balance
But
to the
don't
force.
sometimes-
just watch
you guys-
trash.
No, you don't. But sometimes, man, just like these couple weeks in a row kind of things that you guys sometimes do, that's just why. That's just-
Well, and then also, like,
I digress. I'm done.
some of the weeks that are trash are actually really fun because, like, we had never
Some
seen
of them are.
Battleship.
Oh,
Battleship
that's right.
was just like stupid fun, and the fact that Steven gave it the same rating I gave it was a fucking miracle to me. I'm like,
That-
this movie
that was
does not
fun.
need to be a 6.5 overall, but Steven gave it a 6.5. I gave it a 6.5
that
because we enjoyed the stupid end of it. Like, that was a movie I expected Steven just to hammer because how dumb it was. But Steven's like, I finally turned my brain off. I don't know how. And I'm like, you know what? All right, I'll
Dude,
fucking take
man,
it.
when you finally get to hit that off switch, just don't reach for it again. Just leave it there. Leave it there. I swear, I'm still looking for that. Honestly still looking for that switch for my job, honestly.
Well,
There's-
it's made me happy because it gives promise to doing the rest of the Fast and the Furious franchise. Gives me hope that Steven will be like, you know what? This shit's off the walls. I can't like critique it as a movie because it's not a movie.
I'll
It's
tell
an
you what,
experience.
because I want to see it happen, Dev, you and me will do a mutiny if he doesn't agree to do it, and we'll just do it ourselves.
I mean, it's gonna happen
It's on
eventually.
the list.
Well,
On the list.
yeah.
If you want to join us, we are.
Yeah, you're welcome to join us.
We did the first
I-
3 this year. We
I
did
love-
Fast 2 and Tokyo.
I would love to get in on those conversations. Absolutely.
It'll be a triple header though, more than likely, because we're waiting until we know when we'll ever be able to go see 9.
That's
and
fine.
then we'll do the next 3, and then we'll do 7, 8 with 9, probably, depending, because it's the easiest way to do it. And occasionally, when we're like doing triple headers in a month, so
I've determined I'm gonna start calling them thruples.
fair enough. Thruples. All right, I'm
Thruples,
cool
yep.
with that.
Yep.
No, I don't know what this word means.
Thruple? It's a term also used
Like
in like
triple
poly
or couple.
relationships, like 3.
Yeah.
Thruple instead of couple.
Mm.
Thruple.
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 And if you
Yeah,
want to make
3.
it weird, you call it a throbbing thruple.
Okay, all right. It's on to the movies.
Yep. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Golden Compass.
You know, my goal wasn't to like drink more of these. I just need you to be clear.
You're welcome.
But
All right.
that rules debating.
I'll try to keep it simple. So just talking about the Golden Compass real fast. All I really, if we want to go plain simple and keep it to like the bare minimum, just watch His Dark Materials on HBO. It is infinitely better than the Golden Compass movie when it comes to plot development and everything.
In just about every conceivable aspect, really. Like plot,
Character, costuming,
character development.
CG.
The CG. I think CG's
Okay.
its own. CG's its own subject here.
The only
Dude,
thing that I'll go ahead. Sorry, Dev.
The thing that pissed me off in the CG in this movie was the bear fight.
Yeah,
They did not feel like they had physics.
dude, they didn't feel like they had fur. Okay.
Well, not just that. Like, I can deal with that because it's 2007. All right, whatever. You should be better, but whatever. Okay, I can ignore that because it's consistent. The Bears' weight in that fight was
Yeah,
way
no,
different
it
than
was
the Bears' weight that we saw as he was running through the snow
boing,
literally
boing,
moments
boing.
ago.
Mhm.
He had weight during that, and then that fight, they're just like, like spinning. And I'm like, what the fuck? What just happened?
But
Who turned on low G's and who turned up the speed?
they
What?
that fight simultaneously has the most gruesome moment in this entire movie. Like,
It's a good moment though.
yes, it is. Is that all? Yes. That's
As
all,
it
folks.
Yeah. We good, bro.
Can I talk about the cast real quick though?
Yes.
We good.
This is like
Yes,
the
I would
big,
love to
the
talk about the
highest
cast.
A-list cast that I've
Oh.
seen in such a shit movie.
Dude, seriously, we've got Nicole Kidman, we've got Daniel Craig, we've got Ian McKellen, we've got Ava Green, Jim Carter, we've got Sam fucking Elliott.
Rest in peace, Sir Christopher Lee.
You've got Sir Christopher Lee. Like, holy shit! What
Kathy
the fuck?
Bates, freaking
Ian
Oh my
McShane
God,
in here
like-
as well.
You've got Derek Jacobi as well, who always plays like those kind of like he voiced Cogsmith, or no, not he didn't voice Cogsmith. He's Gladiator. He was in Gladiator. The guy, one of these guys voiced Cogsman. Hold on, which one was it? Where is it? Was it Jimmy? Did Jimmy Carter voice Cogsman? Yeah, Jimmy Carter voiced Cogsman in Transformers: The Last Night.
I would also like to appreciate the fact that James Bond, in my opinion, had the coolest familiar in this entire freaking movie. Enough said.
They also really sequel baited the hell out of this.
Yes, they did.
It's so sad when you see that. You know what's weird? Looking at this list, if you count Nick Cage's first Ghost Rider, we have one Marvel person, I think.
What?
I don't think anyone
Oh.
else in this has been in a Marvel movie.
They've been in every other kind of movie or TV show.
Seriously. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
you have the full spectrum. Kathy Bates was headlined this lawyer show. I forgot the name of. Too. It's like there's a broad spectrum of medium being covered here.
Yeah, but yeah, no, she like no one that I recognize at least is a Marveler. Wow, I just noticed that.
The Blue Dev's mine. Marvel's like every movie franchise ever.
Well, no. Shut the fuck up, asshole. I mean, in the sense of having such a star-studded cast that
The
none
fact
of them
that
have
none
shown
of
up in
them-
a Marvel movie yet.
The fact that none of them have had to appear in Marvel to get their stardom, basically, is
Well, not just that. Not just that. I'm more just saying, just haven't even shown up in a Marvel movie.
I'm thinking now, like, who would Sam Elliott play in a Marvel?
He'd have to play the old Ghost Rider because that's what he was in the original Ghost Rider, and it's the perfect casting for him. The Western Ghost Rider, it's perfect casting. You can't cast him as anything else. He's the fucking cowboy, man. Sam Elliott is the cowboy.
Yeah,
You
that's
cast
all
an
he
old
is.
cowboy,
That's
you
typecasting right there.
cast Sam Elliott. I'm sorry, you do. Like the
It's not
moment
a
he
conversation we should be having this early on, as far as come on.
I'm just saying, Sam Elliott's fucking fantastic, man.
All right, I feel like we gotta try to talk more details about this movie.
A little bit, yeah. One thing I
I'll
wanted
let
to
you
talk
guys
about.
get some other details then. Fuck it, man.
The one other thing that I wanted to talk about is how much this movie just kind of like, and it's solved. We have the answer. We're suddenly in this next step. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot
be
of.
honest.
Go ahead.
Well, this is kind of going by what you just said. I'll be honest. Like by the time from the time I first watched this movie, right? We're talking like back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here, I'm watching it, and it's like I blinked and they had the solution.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
and then
Yeah.
I tried, and then kind of knowing that, right? Still having that confusion going into the rewatch that I did for the show. Again, it's like I blinked and they had the like I can't. There's such a disconnect between the problem and the solution. It's like I feel like that teacher that's like, okay, show your work. How did you arrive here? It's not clear how you got here.
Yeah. Like, and I feel like the biggest part of that is they just suddenly introduce characters that help, like the witch. All she was is like a Deus Ex Machina in this movie. I can't remember her name though. And as well as the fucking compass. Like, I know that that's the whole point of this show, is that the compass tells the truth, but it just too blatantly tells the truth
of the movie.
Yeah. Like, it ruins all suspense in this movie.
Speaking of all-knowing compasses, at least Jack Sparrow's compasses gave you a little conflict if you had some internal conflict, you know?
Yes. I have some internal conflict about Captain Jack Sparrow or similar properties. We'll talk about that later.
Talk about that later.
Thanks.
Don't prelude to the news yet.
Foreshadowing. What do you mean? It's good storytelling. But yeah, it's even so ridiculous in this movie how quickly they fix problems. Like, it's a line in the fucking movie when Lee Scoresbury talks to our main character and is like, "You work pretty fast, kid." It's like, yes, that she literally walked into town and solved your problems.
Pretty much.
Or like when, as far as like a solution goes, like when Lyra almost gets the link cut. Like, okay, number one, that kind of happened out of freaking nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like intense drama in a scene goes, I feel they actually did pretty good with that. Because it was like, I mean, I legit could feel something in that scene, and then all of a sudden it's like last minute save of the head lady, who I think is still technically in charge of all of that.
I think so.
Like,
yeah.
Even to this day, I'm still confused as to whether or not that she's actually like she obviously knows about it. These people obviously listen to her, but she picks favorites.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, don't worry, it's just a little cut. Oh no, but we can't do it to this person for reasons.
Not quite perfect.
It's reasons, man.
Yeah, reasons.
It's reasons.
Reasons.
Movie's got a movie, man.
Movie's got a movie. Movie's got a movie. Cheers to Movie's got a movie.
That's literally just the saying of the show now. I need to change the slate board.
Put it on a shirt, man.
Movie's got a movie. Movie's got a movie. And we don't give quarter scores.
Oh, geez. I'm trying to think of anything else that I wanted to talk about. And normally, Dev tries to make a point about talking about the cinematography, since that's what I care about a lot in movies.
Yes.
And I can say, without a doubt, that it was confusing.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to the battle scenes. Like,
dude, every single fight in the thing. Every single one. Like, are you...
But at least it was sparkly.
It was.
You know, even that, like, I will say this, like, this is gonna I'm gonna round back to this later, but I will say it's boringly shot. It's like the action is kind of a mess.
Dude,
but
and not
hey,
only
at least it's well acted.
Maybe it's just, so here's the thing. Kind of still staying within the cinematography, something that's like a theme throughout. Which is weird that I point this out, but I was kind of rewatching it, and you know, I'm somewhat colorblind, so there are certain shades of which that I can't quite register, but you know, I see enough. And does the color palette of this movie seem a little bland to anybody else but me?
You mean gray?
Yeah, white and gray.
Yeah.
It's just blandly gray.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, and I know, granted, in some of the scenery that they're trying to portray that they're in, I get it, but you could also watch places like this on Discovery and realize, you know, they're actually a lot more vibrant than that.
The only things that were colorful in this movie was the technology, and that was Iron Man colored.
It is true.
That, and also like the biggest source of contrast that I see in the freaking movie poster that is currently up on stream right now is the armor on the bear.
It wasn't even that golden, by the way.
No, it was rusted.
No, in the movie itself, yeah, that's like, what kind of false advertisement is that when in a animated / creative rights that you did, that, oh, we got to make sure the armor looks super shiny in the poster because God forbid they actually see the imperfections in the movie.
I mean, I just honestly, even looking at this poster, I tried to grab the poster that didn't have the release date. I'm trying to do that more often. The less writing, the better. Because it just looks better. Just looking at this poster as it is right now, it just looks cheap. Like,
not only that, yeah,
they took one scene with the bear in it, then are like, okay, we have to crop in the girl somewhere.
Yeah, like, this is a stupid thing to say because every movie poster on the planet obviously is photoshopped, but this looks photoshopped. This looks like the stereotypical what people think of when they say something looks photoshopped.
God, you're not wrong.
Like, I just now kind of looked at it and realized, because again, I've been working on a lot of projects, so I think it's the other reason, but I'm looking at this and I'm just like, whew.
Well, also think about like movies that
like the lighting on the girl is even different.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this.
Yeah,
look at the lighting on the girl. Look at the lighting on the bear.
She would also have a shadow from the bear's face in front of her. That's the other thing that's gonna throw you off. But the other thing too is like looking at that poster alone. Think about other posters that like are obviously photoshopped. Let's go with Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's 100% Photoshop, but it doesn't look Photoshop because it's a piece of art itself.
Yeah, exactly.
That is just background bear girl.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but and this is really dumb to fixate on because I know we're supposed to be reviewing a movie, and I get it.
Oh, we've reviewed posters before on here. Don't worry.
Have we? Okay.
Sometimes posters
I've
spoil
railed
the
about
movie,
posters.
so.
But
one without me realizing it did. It was the one good fucking scene from the movie.
Is that bear to scale?
No.
I don't think the bear's that big in the movie. I just now realized this.
Yeah, I think he's a little bigger than he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm kind of looking at this and I'm like, something else seems off, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
She's tiny. What are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, but
obviously that's the answer.
I mean, come on.
Let's see.
Lazy.
Trying to think anything else.
Like this was like production. This was like promotion week. Promotion was a week out, and they realized they didn't have a poster yet. This is kind of what this is to me.
Just take a scene from the movie that we haven't shown yet. Okay, here we go. Throw it up there. Perfect. All right. Yeah. I got really nothing else specific to talk about in this movie. If anyone else does.
Not particularly, no.
Not
I mean,
particularly.
I think the thing that I'll talk about it is that even when because I'm interested in the lore of this, it's a neat idea. Obviously, it came from a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book that I shamefully have not read yet, and I would very much like to.
I haven't read it.
But it's just
HBO's
one of
series,
two.
you can watch that.
One of two examples that we're going to show tonight that a world on page was poorly translated to screen.
Mm-hmm.
Not as poorly as what we're going to be talking about next. And I think that's probably my own personal bias of the whole situation. I'll be honest about that.
I would never do that,
What?
Jay.
Nah.
This show is completely 100% unbiased opinions.
That's why it's not casual at all.
I think it's okay that our show.
You can have an unbiased opinion.
It's okay that the show has bias. It's just important to be honest about it.
No, we never have bias. Shut up.
Oh, we're not biased. We're clearly the most
Never.
renowned.
That's
and
why I
notorious
gave
film
Halloween
reviewers ever.
2 by Rob Zombie a 1.5, right? And fucking Dragon Ball Evolution. Anyways, moving on.
All right, so yeah, popcorn kernels, friends. I'm gonna give
right.
you guys.
All right,
I'm
you
gonna.
two your
Yeah, I'm gonna start with Dev. Dev, 10 popcorn kernels. How many are you gonna give this movie?
This movie's boring, long, and has legitimately nothing going on in it. So I'm gonna give it, I think, a 3.5 from just being a snore fest.
that's out of 10.
Well acted,
Yeah.
out of 10.
Okay.
It's just boring. That is usually my biggest problem with a movie is
Yep.
if you make me feel like you're a long movie. I can sit through a 3-hour or long movie, no problem, as long as the movie is engaging, things are happening, and you feel like progress is being made. Prime example, Endgame.
Absolutely.
I sat through that 2 or 3 times in theaters. This movie, right under 2 hours, and I fucking feel like it should have cut another 15, 30 minutes.
And the worst part is it's already cut up so terribly that it's a
It
terrible
really
movie.
is.
So, like, as for me goes, like, the amount of times I've watched this movie,
Mhm.
once back when it kind of came out, it was a little
Same.
while after it came
I
out,
watched it on DVD after it came out.
and for the show. And as I said before the show, I did not make it to the end. That was time and business, so that was not me just trying to
Yeah,
side jab, take a crap on the movie.
They
some
didn't
more.
miss
That was
anything.
literally-
Yeah,
No, that's
it's
the
okay.
problem.
No,
Yeah.
I mean that's the thing. I know that's why I'm not really all stressed about it because I kind of remembered what happened and it was like, oh yeah, I'm good.
So
All right, so
in that case,
which one of you two's next?
I'm gonna throw it over the J real fast. I want to hear your score out of 10 popcorn kernels, Jay.
Out of 10 popcorn kernels, I honestly. So I said before we went live that the score you all give it is going to be the highest it gets all night,
Mhm.
as far as what by comparison to me. So I'm not doing this to like spitefully prove my point. It's just I legitimately don't think it deserves the half point that Dev gave it. So I'm going to give it a 3 even for pretty much the same reasons that Dev stated. On top of just because I looked back at some of the movies that released in 2007 and better CGI was possible.
Mhm.
And
The
with
budget
the
was
budget
in the cast.
and with the budget, yeah, that's the thing. With the budget that was put into this movie, like you misallocated. And so I'm giving it a 3 based on that. I'm aware that good movies have survived on quality of CGI that was like that and have been good, but they've had value for other reasons. And this movie just had none of those reasons, honestly. So 3 even.
Okay.
Are you aware that Eragon is showing on the thing?
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, I
Yep.
must hit a button. Whoops.
All right, Steven.
What a poster you pick for that, by the way.
Shh. Yeah, Golden Compass. You Dev gave same score as Dev. Honestly, 3.5. Like,
All right, so that means overall and rounded score with Jay is all 3.5
Yeah.
to round up.
so this
That's funny.
this movie was just kind of bad. And normally I try not to do low scores like this, but there was nothing keeping me entertained.
I mean, if the
Yeah,
movie was
you have
bad,
not gone under a 3 this year, by the way.
No, I have not.
if the
I also
movie
have barely gone
is-
over a 9, or an 8.
I mean, here's the thing: if the movie was bad, but it had a lot of stuff happening, like even from from a comedic standpoint, like would have earned a higher score in my opinion. But it just doesn't have it.
Okay. So I'm going to have us move on then, unless anyone in chat here has any questions. But I don't think anyone in chat here has any questions today. Except for Dev, who's about to type one.
Who the fuck are these losers?
I see. Just a bunch of losers is all.
I don't know. Some guys who think they're funny.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a dork. I'm some fucker, and that's I don't know.
I apparently look like a dad, according to who did it? Level.
No, that was
Yep.
LaBelle.
LaBelle, yeah.
LaBelle, yeah, last week was like, Jay looks like he's a dad and wandered in and wondered why the computer was on or something along that line. And I'm like, damn it, that's
Accurate.
Hey.
My wife just laughed at that and went, "Yeah."
All right.
All right, next movie. We're moving on here. We're going to talk about everybody's absolute favorite movie that no one has any complaints about at all. Eragon.
Excuse me while I go vomit.
Okay. Eragon came out December 15th, 2006, about an hour and 45 minutes, with director Stefan Fangmeyer, with a budget of 100 million. US opening 23 million. US gross 75 million. Cumulative worldwide 25 million. 2500 million. 250 million. Jesus Christ.
How about that? Try again.
250 million worldwide.
At least it made its budget back.
It made double its budget and almost 3 times its budget. But can I start this out with my story with this movie?
Have at it.
So, me and my dad and my brother, we would sit us on the bed. We would lay down. We would all read the book together, right? As a father does, you know. He would make us read parts of it too to make us read. But, you know, it was moments to engage with your father. So when we heard that the movie was coming out, we were excited because the Harry Potter movies were great.
Absolutely.
And then we went. We were on a road trip from Washington down to Arizona from where we lived. This was 2006. I was first year of middle school, Dev. We were going up on a road trip to Washington, coming back down. We stopped in the hometown that we lived in before Arizona. Went to the theater that we went to numerous occasions. Sat down. Everything seemed exactly how we remember it when we left. Movie played. We leave. And as we're leaving, I'm like, that wasn't good. And my dad's like, no, it wasn't.
Dude. So 2006, so sophomore year for me. Or no, that would have been freshman. So me and my best friend were dropped off at the theater. And we're like, you know, we're excited because it's a, you know, best friends hangout. We're going to go watch an awesome movie that we've read these awesome books for. And it's going to be great. And then we see the movie. The level of disappointment that I felt that day. Like, the only perk of the entire thing was that, one, my best friend was suffering with me, and two, is that we got to hang out for a weekend after this happened. Like, can you imagine having a great weekend and then this is like your highlight, right? Like, you're going to cap the weekend with seeing something like that. Like, you know, some people did that, right? Like, this is one of these movies to where that's like, yes, we're going to do this whole thing, and then we're going to see
young
this,
audiences were ready.
It's gonna be a great time, right? And then you see it, and the thing is, what's really sad is, like, I can see where some people could possibly enjoy this movie. Good for you, you know, find enjoyment wherever you get it.
But if you know the source material,
it's nothing to be found here. Yeah, and then to which, okay. So I'm assuming it's safe bet. Well, I want to get this out of the way now before we continue on any further with the details of the movie. Is we all pretty much, like, it's safe to say where our thoughts lie on this movie as of now. If you didn't read the books, honest, just yes or no, no reasons given, do you think you would think at least a little better of the movie? Yes or no?
A fun fact.
Steven hasn't read the books.
Yeah.
Okay,
this has been a topic of
perfect. This is great, actually, because I've actually never met anybody who has watched this movie and has not read. What is your opinion on just the general? We'll get into details later, Steven.
With film knowledge as well.
Yeah. So watching this movie, I thought it was bad.
Have you watched it before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rewatching this movie. This is the second or third time I've watched this movie. Like, the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, it's a dragon movie. It does things. Like, I didn't think it was anything super amazing to phone home about. And, like, Dev knows, I usually write a lot of notes. I don't know if you guys can see How many notes I wrote? 1, 2, 3.
Did you
About
count the
this movie?
title?
Well, no, the title's up there. Yeah.
Oh, it looked like you counted the title. I was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
About this. So what notes did you put about this movie?
This
Just out of
note,
curiosity.
the notes I put in this movie, I wrote the one scene that I actually kind of liked was "Let him die with pride like a dragon rider." That one I kind of
Okay.
liked.
Okay.
Only because I felt like it was the most emotionally impactful scene in the whole movie. That being
100%.
said, though,
100%.
it wasn't. It's set up to be extremely emotionally impactful. It was. Yeah.
They cut so much from the book.
Oh yeah.
That would make so Braun's and Eragon's relationship is built. This whole fucking thing is fucked from the get go. Okay, all right. It's okay.
I didn't get
I
to
don't
my
know.
other
I
notes
want to
yet.
let Steven finish. I want to let Steven. No, I want to let Steven finish first.
Okay, yeah. With like the Die with Pride part 5, I thought was fine, but yeah, Brom and our main character Eragon didn't have enough time to have a relationship at all, so there was no real reason to have any emotional loss for him.
I'm about to say that would warrant the whole
Yeah.
"Let him die with pride" scene.
Exactly. Like they were skeptical for him the whole time, and then suddenly, yeah, they have that scene. But the other two things that I wrote down is things that I thought were noteworthy. Were costumes. I thought were good. That was probably the best part of this movie.
Okay, I can agree with that. The design for like armors and stuff like that were actually pretty good.
Absolutely. Another thing I wrote down was the music. I actually liked the music, the soundtrack behind it. I thought that was fine. I thought that was where the majority of the mood and the emotion for this movie went. Though thinking about this, I just thought about this, so I guess this is note number 4. I felt like they were trying really hard with the cinematography to copy Lord of the Rings. Like
Yeah.
they had a lot of those
Honestly.
big sweeping shots of the whole
Yes.
huge environment, and I was like, this
Yeah,
is too
absolutely.
much.
And the thing is, what's interesting is like this is. I mean, you can definitely see, you know, where the inspiration was originally drawn from. You know, something like this, you could definitely compare it to Tolkien from the source material, and then also
It takes a lot of inspiration from it.
versus it's like I'm watching Peter Jackson film another Lord of the Rings movie with some of these shots, and it's like, yeah.
You made me think about Percy Jackson movies for some reason.
We'll get to that next book club. We're finishing off a couple teen dramas.
I don't. It was hard enough.
Hey Jay, you want to join us for those?
You notice how every time we have a guest, we invite them back?
Do you want me to join you for those is the question.
Yes, 'cause I haven't read them, so I have no information about that series.
Really?
I haven't read it either.
Okay, you
We
should
don't
get
read in
through that.
Arizona.
You should get through that episode and then read the books and then be infuriated after.
It's a process. All right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Hit me with your rant, Dev. I've got really nothing else to say.
So this movie's pretty much fucked from the get go. All right.
Man, they can't see the hand movements because you're so shallow. Yeah.
All right. It's here. There. All right. So, like, one of the first major things that happens that just fucks with this movie happens within like the first 15 minutes, which is really weird that it happens like within the first 15 minutes. But after, like, it's shortly after the dragon is revealed, and then it just ages.
Yeah, that moment I thought was really dumb.
In the theater, that pissed me off.
Yeah.
It's not how it happens in the book.
No, absolutely. So the growth rate of the dragon is quick, but it's not instantaneous.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
not.
important
I'm
to the
gonna fly
story,
through a
too.
magic thunderstorm
very
and
important
quadruple
because-
in size.
Because Eragon had to earn her trust
Yes.
and had to build that up, and it was
Also, she wasn't grown enough to ride while Braun and Eragon were training, because that was part of the show progression of time. Was how well Eragon was training with Braun and getting better with sword work, while also Saphira growing up. So part of that, like, definition of time, we have no idea how much time has passed, because Eragon's sword fighting skills does not look like it's changed at all. It's a lot of luck in this movie,
Yes,
which
it is.
pissed me the
lot
fuck
of
off.
luck.
The Murtrag Like he's so much more crucial in the first book than, hey, I'll just get you to the guys. That's all he does in this movie.
He saves his life once.
He does so much more than that in the book, though. He's there. I believe he shows up in the scene with the Braun getting hurt, if I remember correctly, and he's part of how they get out of that situation. He's so much more crucial than
I don't remember.
I was about to
I
say, I
feel like that's
definitely
being
feel
introduced.
either way, I
Ooh.
can tell he's more important than what he is in this movie.
Yeah, so
He's an add-in in this.
Yeah.
He's an added, like, he's added into the movie because they needed another excuse to tie in the source material.
Mhm.
Is essentially what this boils down to. Like, if you, and that's the thing. That's when you think about it. Like, okay, another example. I'm so glad that you haven't read the books yet. You really need to after this. But
Okay. Don't give me more homework,
I only read
please.
through the first one. I will admit that.
I mean, whenever whenever's convenient for you. But it's definitely, it's a good read. Murtrak comes in. Did you feel at any point like he had a cool little multi-shot with the bow in the big fight?
Was there a
Right.
multi-shot?
Was-
I didn't even see
That was that was his
He
moment
did
of
just
glory.
a triple
Like,
multi-shot. That's
he
it.
freaking, that was his moment of, which, as a side note, like, bows were not his thing in the book, but just whatever.
No, it wasn't.
And I didn't really much care at that point, but he had his little glimpse of glory. Apart from that moment, did he seem important to you at all, Steven? This is like,
No.
I mean, honest opinion.
Not
right?
really, no. Like,
No,
I could
the
tell he is
only-
a character. He was one of those characters that I was like, yep, he was in the book, but has no importance to this version of the story.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like the only semblance of importance that he has to me personally is because he was in the books. And that's it. That's honestly it. And the same another thing
I mean, you want to
that
know
I
someone else who I thought who could be considered pointless in this movie? Honestly,
who
Galbatorix,
Oh,
who
yeah, the king.
the
he
evil
cut off.
king.
Oh yeah,
He did not
Where
need to
you
be in this
see-
movie at all.
he had like one scene
had
where he was
two.
actually
By the way,
on
played by
camera.
John
Oh no, he did
Malkovich.
have two.
Yeah, the beginning of the movie
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
end of the movie.
No, he had one in the middle where he talks
That's
to
right, that's right. Durza,
Oh, he's talking to Durza.
Durzel, and he's like, "Dude,
Robert
where the
Carlyle.
fuck's
God,
my
I love
dragon, bitch."
He's talking to Durza.
Yeah. We do have a Marvel connection, by
God.
the way, because I
What?
forgot. Yes, the man who fucking shows up in everything, and then when I see him, like, wait, you were in this too? And I'm terrible about his name. Jajom Hassan's Honso, who was in Guardians of the Galaxy and in Captain Marvel as Korath. Who? When Star-Lord does the thing, he's like,
Yeah.
Star-Lord. Who?
Yeah,
He's in this. He's the dude who's leading the Resistance.
yeah.
And I
He's
saw him walk in. I'm like, oh shit!
yeah, he's the.
Wait, you're in this?
Oh my god! Yeah,
But
you're
also
right.
a character
Yeah,
that's
he's
not
the-
needed in this movie.
I mean, he's a king in that one. Like he's. I don't think that's ever explained in the movie
No,
either.
he's
but that,
not a king in the movie. He's never explained.
no.
He's just the leader of the Resistance, pretty much.
yeah, that dude's a freaking king, and he has a daughter who I think actually does not have a part in the movie. now
No,
that I
she
think
does.
about it.
I
She
think
shows
that's
up.
the girl who shows up and escorts
Yes,
Eragon for a second.
is supposed
She
to be
has
his
that's her
daughter.
only scene. That's
one
her only
fucking
scene.
scene.
hmm
Ah!
Oh, hey, Steven.
Mhm.
You want to see Dev triggered?
I get to see it almost every week, man. It's not. I get to push the right buttons.
You get to push the right buttons.
God,
Hang
where's
on.
this going?
before we want to get too much deeper into this conversation,
Okay, yeah, go for it.
do we want to we've talked about this movie for about 15 minutes, and
Do I want to give our ratings?
I was
and
about to say
then,
that way we can actually deep dive into the spoilers.
Yes.
Oh, that's fair. That's actually fair.
I will handing out the popcorn kernels.
Okay,
You decide who goes first.
I'll go first this time because see, this is one of those weird instances where I would almost, because I haven't seen the book, I feel like I definitely would give it a higher rating. However, because I gave the Golden Compass such a low rating, I feel like it has to be somewhere close to that because these movies were very much on par to me. I would say this one's probably a little worse, so give me a 3.
Oh shit!
It's literally only because I like normally I think if I haven't given the Golden Compass such a low rating, I probably would have given this one maybe a 4 or 5. But the Golden Compass is not worse than this movie.
So I have to think a little bit here because we award the kernels based on the merits of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
At
not
least
just
that's
that.
my goal.
It's your personal. You get to rate this movie however you want to.
No,
Me,
and I
I
understand.
give personal vote.
And I understand that, and I like to try to keep a middle ground here of
That's fair.
like what. Now that being said, if Stevens is going on the basis of what he gave the Golden Compass, I can also do that, and I am giving this movie a 2.5. Like, because between the two, I will willingly watch Golden Compass again before I watch that. But just from having no clue of the source material, which is kind of hard to do, but like honest examination of it, the plot is sped up beyond all reason.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There has never been a dragon in any lore, media, whatever, that has instagrowed. So the fact that there are blatant excuses for plot progression throughout,
Especially the freaking it's a magical lightning storm that came out of nowhere, and now it's 80 times its original size.
The fact that the Urgles, who granted had a funny name in the first place, so they didn't have that going for them, but they have less going for them in this movie, were basically supposed to look like jacked up orcs on steroids to make way for the Cull, who are like who are like those guys on steroids. Never happened. I'm aware that's book things, but it's like these are like some of the goofiest monsters in any sort of fiction that I've ever seen in my entire life. Durza, his menacing felt forced. I didn't really like. He had this nice shadow bat, but as far as him,
also, his makeup changes partway through.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I know.
It's CG makeup too, by the way. If you didn't know.
Oh, no wonder it was worse.
Oh wow. Now, again, and this is kind of basing off source material, which I said I'm not going to try to do, but I can't really help myself because the way Durza was written, like, he is unparalleled in combat. Like, he didn't need the Shadow Bat, basically. The Shadow Dragon, whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
He didn't need it. Like, the king of the resistance or the leader of the resistance in the books is said to have scratched the blade of his sword. Like, that is supposed to be, like, bragging rights to the freaking extreme. Like, that's how fearsome of a combatant Durza is. Yeah, this guy just looked like a punk in makeup. I mean,
especially with the ending line that he gives, like, what Eragon gives him, that was, I expected more. Like, I know it's supposed to be poetic in the fact that it's like Eragon growing up and advancing and developing as a person, and that's just what he heard a lot as a character, but that's not really explained very well in the movie.
It's not.
It just, and then it just feels very appropriate though for this, because this Durza, I expected more. I really did.
No, 100%. I mean, hell, I expected more of this whole freaking movie. But yes, 2.5. And I think that's just for the simple fact of there are some redeeming qualities to this movie. Stephen pointed out the soundtrack. I love music. I love the way music inspires moods and feelings and all that stuff. So I love that. I'll give it for that. costume design, I'm still a little iffy on Eragon's outfit myself, as far as when he gets the armor. That's not the way I kind of imagined it in my head.
You mean when Eragon went to Helm's Deep and got refitted?
Yeah, more or less. When he did that, as a side note, Doors didn't have near enough screen time, but that's a whole other discussion. And yeah, you just. So yeah, 2.5. Dev.
All right. So I'm going to preface this with one thing.
Okay.
I would rather watch Dragon Ball Evolution again before I ever watch this god-forsaken piece of shit adaptation. Okay?
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry. It has none of the heart, which is such a crucial thing for me. It's why I railed into Man of Steel, okay? Because it didn't have the heart of what makes Superman Superman in Man of Steel. This movie might as well have taken a fucking defecating shit all over the fucking book to make this movie. Why? But my other preface is, if I had to choose between this and Death Note, I would choose Eragon.
Okay. That's it. I feel like nothing can surpass Death Note.
So far,
All
nothing
right.
did. Death Note was just bad.
All right.
So that means I'm giving it a 1. It's under where I put Dragon Ball Z Evolution, but it's above where I put Death Note.
Wow.
Okay? That is why I'm giving it this rank.
Okay.
Because it is rank, which means it's critically casual. Normal score is a 2, but overall with J becomes a 2.5.
All right.
See, and that's, and it doesn't deserve the 2.5, honestly.
Hey, I mean, we rated it lower than what Metacritic gives it.
I'm not gonna.
38 on Metacritic.
Wait, what? Okay. I'd hate to see a 1 by them.
Okay, so let's move on here. Hit the spoiler button, please.
Let's get ready to spoiler!
Oh, it's so much more affected when my effect works. Oh,
There's so much. What to talk about first, honestly? We already kind of went into some of it with Saphira's growth.
God, dude, it still just pisses me off. So, you know how much this pisses me off? I got one of my favorite aunts. One of my favorite aunts that I have in my life. She bought this movie on DVD for me for Christmas without realizing. Because she knew that my dad read the book.
A relative bought me the DVD too. that DVD stayed in its plastic until I sold it.
Well, ours stayed in its plastic too until we moved out of the house we grew up in. Steven knows what house that is.
Mm-hmm.
When we moved out of there, it vanished. I don't know if it ended up in with my mom's stuff or if it genuinely got lost. But I don't know what happened to it. And it hurts me a little bit that I'm not heartbroken that it's missing because it's from one of my favorite haunts. And it's just like, oh man, I don't feel bad. It's gone.
Let's be real. The favorite aunt asked about something you were interested in, saw that, and was like, perfect. They'll never know and they'll never care whether or not you still have that movie.
Yeah, it's just...
Now, so I mentioned earlier, Steven, that I had a fun way to trigger Dev. And considering his reaction so far, I'm thinking this is...
Yeah, hit me.
I'm really hoping he doesn't disappoint me here.
Okay.
But Steven, what did you think of Eragon's potential love interest Arya?
So, like, yeah. Arya was very confusing to me. Because from what we see in the movie, she's... Like, I almost at one point thought she... Like, I'm gonna guess. Like, it's love interest, maybe. But I feel like it could be like a Star Wars Luke and Leia thing where it's his sister. Like, that's kind of where my mind was going at one point.
Not even.
But actually, in the book, though, she's a little bit more Princess Leia and actually does shit from time to time and doesn't just fucking lay there the entire fucking time.
Yeah, like this movie, she doesn't do anything except for teleport the egg to our main character. And
that's just the one accurate thing they do.
And then somehow they're connected through their dreams. Somehow. I don't know how or why,
So-
except to give exposition.
You know, what's funny is that they never mention it, but of the magic that she can do, and of the magic that's actually really prevalent throughout the movie, it's all about protection of the mind.
Hmm.
And so basically, when she was captured, she was tortured. She was basically rendered unconscious, but her mind was still active. This is quoting from the book, very much paraphrasing.
Hmm.
And so Eragon, who is just kind of learning the ropes of the mind thing, thinks, again, strictly in the book, that, hey, maybe I can reach out to her telepathically. And as the way the book writes it is like the feeling of an ice cold dagger being stabbed into him is how he was greeted by her.
Mm.
And essentially is like, I mean, her body is moving. She is still. The body is still. She cannot move as of right now. But in her mind, she's like, who do you think you are, basically? Like going, like, she is tough, assertive, not to be messed with, and gives not one of those damn vibes or qualities in this movie.
Yeah, not at all.
She's a damsel in distress in this movie. She's not.
Yep.
Because she's a Leia archetype in the book, which is fine because that's a strong character.
Yeah, are you a little short for a stormtrooper? Only on a little bit of steroids. Like, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Plus, to me, it was confusing too, because I did notice that her powers seem to be like mind related, especially at the point where she like touches his head and tells him where to meet the Vardens in the movie. But at the same time, I also was like, why is this possible? Because they explain that to be able to do magic in this movie, you have to be able to speak the ancient language, which she's not speaking at all when she taps his head and does the magic shit. So,
Well, guess what? This movie is too long while being too short because the length of this movie is for those fucking stupid Lord of the Rings shots while not explaining the rest of the fucking world. That's what the whole fucking training stuff with Bronn was for. Bronn would teach Eragon how to do shit, would explain the world because Eragon is just a stupid farm boy.
Yeah, so rather than extensive training in detail, he gets a vocabulary lesson of various items.
You see them stick fight once.
yeah, I was about to say they stick fight once, and then they
He
get
then
vocabulary
learns-
lessons.
What did he get? He got Brazinger. He got the word for plant.
You got tree, branch, and
fire,
eyes. Dragon
and
sight.
eyes. Yeah.
And it was just. And what's interesting? Okay, I'll tell you another thing. The fight with the Razak.
That was something I wanted to talk about too. Yeah.
God.
Hang on, Steven first, because he hasn't seen it. I want to get the unbiased as we can get version of this. So I need
Go.
I'm
paused.
I need you to tweak the pressure dial just a little bit.
Let him go.
You're at a 9. We need a 7.
All right, go. I want to see how long he stays. I want to see how long he stays that way.
So the main problem that I have with these people is they're alluded to being very aggressive, very like intimidating and daunting enemies, and it makes it feel like they should be the final boss of this when they are not, and they kind of just disappear and fuck off at one point in this movie. I understand that the fight happened, but I feel like they were being chased by a bunch of them, and then they crash, and then they're not chased anymore. Yeah. So those bad guys just decide, we're not needed for the plot anymore. We'll see you later. So they were very disappointing, and I wanted to ask, like, are they supposed to be more menacing?
Not disappointing. Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, quote me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a Razak that kills Bronn?
Razak is the one that fatally stabs Bronn. Yeah.
You mean it wasn't Urza doing a magic lesson? Oh wait, that's another spell that I think.
Because in the fight, if I'm correct, in the fight against the Razak, basically Eragon like overexerts himself, and Bronn basically has to save him, and ends up getting wounded because of it.
And I believe that's when Prince Boy shows up and it like assists to get them out of it. But they have that conversation not with Princess, but with those two being like, "Hey, let's bury him." kind of thing.
Yeah. And the thing that really bugs me, just as a side note about Brahm's burial, is the magic that Saphira does to the place he's buried is never mentioned.
No, yeah, that's something I thought was stupid too. She's like, she encases him in ice or something.
No, diamond.
Diamond. Okay.
Diamond. It's supposed to be diamond.
Okay. Because it was like, she can't breathe fire, but she could do something to turn all the rocks surrounding him into diamond without changing him at all.
So now,
And
so
Magic.
yeah, that was
well,
like
no,
magic.
what's funny though is like that's actually one of those it's just magic kind of moments that was in the book. Like dragons are pretty powerful, like magic. They're like magic conduits, basically.
Yeah.
And like that's what ultimately what made Dragon Riders so dangerous. Is among other reasons. Is like with their assistance, like they can do magic beyond their normal ability. And so the dragons themselves can do magic like to like an extent, like they can affect certain things. But she's still young. She just kind of did it off instinct.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the movie tried and ultimately failed to convey, is that
Yeah,
it's instinctual and heartfelt more than just, oh, here, I got this in my back pocket. Let me just pull this out here.
and even the way they talked about it in the movie itself, like, who will remember him? Because of you, everyone will remember him. Thousands will know his name. And then my thought was, are they going to make is his dead body encased in diamonds going to be like a tourist trap in 100,000 years? And then people stop by to be like, "Oh, look at this! This is Plymouth Rock. This is where our nation was made."
Yep. And as a side note, between the significance of Brahm and Saphira, like
Oh my god.
when Eragon is asking Brahm about the dragon riders in the book, he mentions several riders and the names of their dragons. And he mentions Saphira with emphasis, the last one, like almost like mesmerized. So Saphira was the name of Brahm's dragon.
Mm.
Not a hint of it in this movie.
Nope.
Not a bit. Not a single bit. And the thing is, so to people who would think it unfair that we draw so much comparison from a book versus to the movie, you see, like you've seen the movie and not read the book. However, like there are details that lack.
No, yeah. Like, don't
There
get me
are
wrong.
plenty of plot elements that make absolutely zero sense. You leaving?
The discussion between like plot, like source material and movie, is something that me and Dev actually have very often, because I personally try to rate the movie based off of only the movie. And
But if I know the source material, I take that into critique because
Yeah.
I think it's important.
yeah, so that's when we get situations like Man of Steel, when I gave Man of Steel like an 8, because based off of the movie and how they portray Superman, I thought he was pretty fine. Like,
I actually, and knowing source material of Superman 2, I actually kind of enjoyed Man of Steel as well.
But he has
Like,
no Superman's heart is my problem with that entire thing.
Dude,
There's no like
if you
what
want to
in,
get
in that movie, when does Superman do something that Superman would have done?
what he
there's a
would
s-
have done.
Yes. Name a moment when Superman does something Superman would have done. Outside of Lois.
he does Lois a lot.
Well, I mean saving Lois, that's common. There's a scene where an oil tanker is thrown, and instead of Superman catching it to stop it from blowing up in a parking garage behind him, he just floats over it. That's not very Superman.
I mean, that's situationally speaking, here's the thing, like in the DC universe, that man is like so overpowered that, parking garage could have been empty.
We don't know that. We know there's people in there.
We know there's people like throughout the city, and that's the other thing that I think. So we're not talking about these movies, but I'll say this much: is like to make the movies. I think, as far as the DC stuff goes, and the Marvel for that matter, like to make them compelling and at least to show like a form of like progression and like direness. Like these guys from the comics need to be put in some sort of box
Oh, that's
because
fine.
well, yeah, but like as an example that like you won't see the carnage in the aftermath of a Superman Doomsday fight or a Superman Zod fight in the comics because like he'll like redirect it somehow. Like very rarely is it done, and I think that's honestly a matter of convenience versus a matter of what this guy can actually do.
Well, my counter to that is Superman saves people.
I mean, I get it, and
The entire fight with Zod, Superman doesn't take a moment to not destroy the things around him. He just attacks Zod and fights and destroys everything around him, which makes Batman's compelling argument against him actually work, in my opinion. Batman v Superman, but again, taking it completely out of context, I still wanted to see that universe come to fruition with Justice League being Zack Snyder's vision because I mean, at least it had some interesting things. I don't shit relentlessly on Man of Steel. I don't like it, but I do find it interesting in its own ways. Eragon, on the other hand, has none of the heart, none of the soul that the book has, nothing that makes it nearly connect other than the beginning and some names, and it just shits on what it was.
it really honestly like from a movie perspective, trying to look at it just from a movie perspective, this is a movie that rather than introducing you to a world that you didn't know, just kind of dropped you into the middle of it and said figure it out. And
Well, that can work. That worked with Star Wars.
I like that kind of stuff, honestly.
yeah, but like there was no time to figure it out. That was the other thing. It's like you were on just this horribly short clock. I mean, again, just even not knowing the extensiveness of the training, when you get to the part where it's like, oh, Brazinger means fire, such and such means plant, blah da 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 da, dragon vision. And not only that, but he just learned the words, and like in movie time, like 10 to 15 minutes later, they were fighting the Razak, and he hangs one of them with the vine using a word he just heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole like magic uses up energy thing wasn't a problem in this movie after the first Brazinger attack.
It wasn't. Yeah, he uses Brazinger to explode an arrow one time.
Passes out, and then the rest of the movie he doesn't pass out again until he tries to heal Saphira.
Yeah.
Though,
I hate it. I hate this movie.
That too. Also, what kind of asshole? I don't care who you are, but if a dragon rider's like, "How's my dragon?" your first response is gonna be, "Well, sometimes people die, but not this time."
Funny enough, yeah, and that's the thing. And obviously, there was no such dialogue when he wakes up, from that either. And here's what's interesting though is, again, going back to source material, Murtaugh and Eragon like are basically like brothers at the end.
They went through a lot of shit.
In this movie, they force it, but in the books, it's like no, like they grow to love and rely on each other as brothers to the point to where Durza gave him a scar down his back, gave Eragon a scar down his back, and Murtaugh carries a similar scar. And it's basically like, hey, looks like you're more like me now.
Okay.
Also, those two and Arya, like they pretty much carried Arya all the way there. It was pretty much those two that did it. Like I don't know, man. It's just there's so much that angers me. Because I mean, like if I remember correctly, do they save Arya before Bronn or after Bronn dies? The book.
Ooh.
No, in the book, I have no idea.
It's been a while since I've read it, so I feel like it was after. I can't remember 100%.
I don't remember, and so I'm just gonna leave it at that because I actually do not remember.
It just pisses me off that Durz is the one to kill Bronn, too. It's just like,
yeah, it was
because like you don't build up, because that's the thing. Like the Razak build up, so that when Eragon does beat them, it feels earned because it's like, holy shit, they took out Bronn, and now Eragon's trying to take out them. but Durza's stronger than them. Damn. It's like fucking Dragon Ball, dude. You don't have Frieza be the first person to kill someone. You had Dodoria. And then you build to Frieza.
Yep.
Just that simple. And even in this, Durza wouldn't even be Frieza because this franchise continued like they had planned with the cutting of the map and Eldest being behind there.
Oh, that was the
Which
dragon's
was
name? Eldest?
I think it's Eldest. Eldest?
No.
I thought that dragon's name was the second title, or is that a different
No.
person in the series? I never read the second book when I was younger.
Hang on a minute. I believe his dragon's name is Thorn, but let me check.
Oh, what a cool name.
Yeah, he rides the red dragon Thorn.
Why was it called Eldest?
Eldest. So here's the thing: if you haven't read it's a major spoiler. Actually,
Oh, okay.
It's a major spoiler as to why it's called Eldest.
Because it's the oldest dragon ever born.
But yeah. So in fact, the slight spoiler is that you're not even supposed to know that Murtaugh has a dragon, but here we are talking about him. So.
That too, yeah. I don't know, dude. It's just like,
There are. So, and also another thing to mention of a character that was briefly shown in the movie, not significant at all, but very significant in the books, was the Dwarf King Hrothgar, who was not sized properly, number one.
Does that have to do with the staff? And the beard?
Yeah.
What the he's the dwarf?
Yeah, he's supposed to be a dwarf.
What the fuck?
Supposed to be a dwarf, yeah.
Oh,
and
God.
You want to talk about missed opportunity as far as fight scenes go? It's written in the book that he's fighting like among crowds of Urgles and Cole, and at one point picks up a spear from the ground, chucks it, impales through 4 and sticks in the 5th. I mean, come on.
No, he gets saved by a triple arrow.
Yeah. No, instead of this, he's like trying to fend off several. Like, this dude was monster strong, and he's just nope.
Because the main character is Eragon. Gosh, only he can have super amazing powers.
This movie's dreadfully boring.
It's so like, let's count how many stereotypical medieval fantasy tropes that it follows.
Do we have enough fingers for that?
I don't know, but we're gonna find out. The number one, we have the chosen hero who starts off dumb but rapidly gets intelligent and knows his place. We have
Reluctant hero.
We have the reluctant hero. We have the old mentor, who is also a veteran. So we'll count that. We'll actually count that as 2. We have
Damsel in distress.
We have the damsel in distress. We have the fast friend and Murtaugh for no reason. We have the fast relationship development, which we're just going to count that as 1, because if we count that as separate, that would be way too many.
Also, you have one of the main characters, quote unquote main characters, is related to the evil.
True.
You have there's a resistance hidden somewhere and you need to find it.
Yep. You have a massive army who inevitably finds the place that has been hidden up until the main character showed up.
You have the overpowered hunting class of enemies. Which shows up in certain stuff.
Nazgul.
Kinda.
Dude, like, honestly, in my mind's eye, man, that's way more how I picture the Razak in my head versus what they appeared in the movie.
Well, in the book, they also describe them as having like bugs and stuff on them, but they're not.
Well, so like the cave, and they do have hoods.
Yeah.
And it's like you can only briefly glimpse their faces, and it's almost like they had like beaks.
Yeah. They had beaks.
Yeah.
These things had beaks.
Weird.
They're supposed to.
Dude, these things are like, these things suck bone marrow.
Oh.
Like,
they're supposed to be scary, Steven.
There's one of the books where like people from Eragon's home village were called into because the Razak actually go back to kind of take control of that town.
Okay.
With the king's forces. And like there's a part where like several people have been called into this place where the Razak are, and they hear screams and no one ever comes back out and they have no clue what happened. And then later on, bones are found with bite marks. So it's like, yeah. I mean, these guys are written very well to inspire fear and dread.
That's not
And
what happened in this movie.
no, not
No?
at all, dude. Like, and not only that, but they're not just semi-intelligent, semi-sentient hissing things. Like, they talk. Like,
Do they?
the screams were from interrogations. Like, they were looking for Eragon, is essentially what it was. And there's a part where I'm going to spoil a little bit because I think it's too cool not to talk about. Eragon fights him in one of the books and inevitably and pretty much beats him. And they're like, wait, before you kill us, grant us this one wish. And they're like, what could I possibly give you? And essentially like, sing of us in your songs from this day on. Let people know the terror that we once represented, basically. And I'm like, damn, that is good. Like,
They were
So, yeah.
scary in the books.
oh, they were terrifying, dude. Like, and what's funny,
Ah.
and that's the thing too, is like they also, you know what? No, I'm not gonna. There's so much other stuff. I might reread these books now because I'm so excited talking about it now.
Honestly, same.
If one good thing has arisen from talking about this shit movie, it's the source material is great.
Seriously, dude. Like the source material is fun.
There's 4 books in the series too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just can't remember.
Eragon, Eldest Gladiator, and I honestly forget the fourth one.
Is it Thorn?
No.
Because the third
I
one's the
haven't-
gold cover, and then the
Well, that's
fourth one-
Gladiator.
Yeah,
Third
fourth
one
one was
Gladiator.
was the fourth one in a teal, if I remember correctly.
Hang on. We have Inheritance is the fourth one.
What color book cover was it?
I'm sorry, and it's Brazinger, not Gladiator. We're talking like a greenish.
Greenish teal. Hey,
Yeah.
I remember that.
So yeah, we have Eragon, which was published in 2002, Brazinger in 2008. I'm sorry, Eragon 2002, Eldest 2005, Brazinger 2008, Inheritance 2011.
See, one problem I already have just with the titles of this stuff is why is Inheritance not the name of one of the characters? Like that's what they've called every other book before that was the name of one of the characters.
No, so I don't remember the connection of Brazinger with the third book. But there is Eragon
Fire
is
of
the
Revolution.
the titular hero.
Mm-hmm.
Eldest is a very, very important plot point, and it kept you guessing like what the heck is Eldest? And yeah, and Inheritance stuff. I don't have a clue because again I actually haven't read that one.
It turns
I
out
never
that you are
fucking found it,
actually
and
my
I could never
son.
find the book.
Also, yeah, there's the mom plot in this too. That just like
That's
is
why I
brought up at
thought
the
she
beginning
was the
and left
sister.
alone.
Yeah, that's honestly why I thought she was the sister, because it was like, is that why my mom left? Your mom left because she was in a hurry. It's like, well, does that mean you have a long lost relative out there somewhere that we need to start looking for? Other than your mother?
What's really funny about oh man. There's so much shit I could talk about, but I can't.
Because
Well,
it's
if we
not-
ever actually do the book club podcast coming soon,
Are we really?
No.
Is that a thing? I was about to say they haven't told me any of this, folks.
I mean, it's an
There's
accurate
the
joke, though.
first
Dev loves making more
Damn
podcasts.
thing I've heard about it. Honestly, I feel like if we did book club stuff, like actual books, I feel like we would get. It would be one of these review. It would be one of our review podcasts that we would, on average, get pissed off less at. Or at least I would,
I'm not sure about that.
because
depends
well,
what we're reading.
it's true.
And knowing us, we'd probably intentionally pick some god awful books.
On the occasion, we'd have to, right?
I mean, I feel like I don't know, to be determined as to how we would pick the subject matter, but
Coming soon, everybody.
Oh, I really hope not.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think there's much more we
was
can
about
talk
to say,
about this movie.
movie-wise-
That doesn't go into the books.
There's not to turn a phrase. We have beat the dead out of the dead horse.
quick question.
Yes.
Is the smoke dragon bat even in the book?
No.
I don't think it was.
No. So there is something that I think they meant to be similar to it. So they meant this back to be something similar to that was in the books if they even researched that far, or they're just like, it honestly wouldn't surprise me if Durz is like a demon and so he needs a big shadow bat thing. So we're just gonna give him one.
I mean, yeah, Durz is filled
Because-
with demons.
Well, I mean, the
That'd make him
thing
get
is,
so
it's like
bad towards the end.
the thing is, I mean, Durz is so powerful to the point he didn't need an equal sized mount to Saphira to deal punishment. Like I stress again, he didn't need the help. Didn't
But
at
they
all
gave
need it.
to him.
But they gave it to him.
It's so we
because
can
they
have
power-
two dragons fighting in the Eragon movie. Because
Dude,
Eragon's
all
in
I'm
with the
saying
dragon.
is two dragons fighting in a movie does not always work out well. See Dragon Wars.
There's also, if you want to see two things of the same fighting that doesn't work well, watch Venom.
Or hell, Golden Compass.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But yeah,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, let's move on. I think we're done beating this dead horse.
Good God, we've almost been live for an hour and a half. How long was this pertaining to freaking Erica?
About an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Dev, hit the news button. Perfect. We're in the news. Isn't
Really?
that such an easy section transition?
I think he needs to turn the volume up on it.
It was a little quiet, but
It's
okay.
my sampler part. I can fix that. Hold on.
No, you don't need to be louder. It's fine.
Give me a second. I
Yeah.
can fix that. I can fix that real quick. Don't worry.
Steven's not going to have me back on anymore.
No, you're always welcome.
Where is that?
Honestly, I
on?
like having more people on the show. It gives us more different conversations and places to go into. I mean, other than the fact that you essentially took over being the host, especially during the second half of the show. But it doesn't...
I don't think I took over being the host. I'm just I'm the consultant.
So you were definitely guiding the Yes, Dev, we heard you the second time.
I'm, technically you could just mute him in your conversation and we can go on.
That's true, I could.
Guys, I'm breaking up.
I'll mute you in this conversation.
Alright, now he's muted.
So I can have some peace.
I've muted him. I can't hear him. I don't know what's going on.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Bitch. Fuck you.
Alright, you're back. So, news, wrap up stuff. Talking about things. I'm also gonna bring back a different segment that we haven't done in a little bit. Well, that's a segment. But I want to talk about things that have caught my attention in the news lately. First one, just to get out of the way. Have you heard of Amber Heard?
Have you? Yes, we've talked about her on several occasions. Her
Mhm.
and Johnny Depp.
Mm-hmm. And how she's a lying woman who has
Okay,
ruined Johnny
I'm just
Depp's
gonna
career.
preface their whole thing with both of them are fucked up.
Yes, they are.
Neither of them are innocent,
Nope.
in my opinion.
But apparently in this situation, only one is a lying bitch. So...
Well, Depp is not gonna get any sympathy from me on all of this either. Both
he's
of them
not
were
a
awful
saint.
to each other,
But yeah.
but only one of them is getting kicked out of Warner Brothers.
Mhm. And the other one still has a career.
Yeah. Because there are lines that Depp has yet to cross. So...
No, Depp's the one kicked out.
Yeah, Depp doesn't have a career anymore.
Oh, really?
And
Depp got
He's
kicked
not
out.
on
Oh,
the
that's not the-
Fantastic Beasts movies.
Yeah, he's been asked to retire from the Fantastic Beasts, while Amber Heard is being reshot for some Snyder Cut film and also for Aquaman 2.
Oh. I heard that went the other way.
Nope.
Hmm.
I mean, for a little while, it was looking like it was going to be the other way.
Yeah, it's
But
like I mean, I remain skeptical of the whole thing, but it's like,
yeah, what ended
no.
up happening is I believe they settled. Oh, not settled. They were sent to a UK court, and in that court, it was the judge found in favor of Amber Heard, and because of that, they were leaning more negatively against Johnny Depp.
Interesting.
But if you also look at a lot of the evidence given, it also shows that both of them were just awful to each other. So in my opinion, they should honestly both get equal punishment.
Yeah, kind of.
Because she was verbally and potentially also physically abusive. You don't get there's no hard evidence that I've seen of the physical, but there is video evidence of her being like verbally abusive to him.
Yeah, yeah, and apparently the judge ignored that at some point.
Oh
Well, yeah, because God forbid we actually need hard evidence anymore. Even if you got it, it's not used. So
both of them are fucked up, and they shouldn't have a career on those franchises until they get their shit together.
to be quite honest, yeah. Who the hell are they gonna have to play Grindelwald now?
That's a good
Just
question.
bring back what's his name? Colin.
They could have him go back to his original good-looking self from the first movie, even though he was somebody else. I don't think that would work out though, because he's supposed to be a different character in that other.
He's also supposed to be borderline psychotic, so it's like.
But
Grindelwald could play that.
Though it does say here that Fantastic Beasts 3 has to restart all its filming and is not going to be released until July 15th of 2022.
Wow. So they had filmed with Depp, and then that decision came down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, and the other thing too about that franchise is
with how that would work out.
They're cutting it down to 3 movies, so that the last movie on that contract is going to go to The Cursed Child.
They haven't named what the third movie is going to be called yet.
Get an actual movie? No,
that's their plan from what it's sounding like.
They were just going to keep the stage play and call it good.
No, it looks like they'll go with Cursed Child as being the 4th movie in the franchise of post movies. Because Fantastic Beasts isn't doing well. After the second one,
which sucks because I mean, like,
did you see the second one?
Yes.
You think it was good?
I enjoyed it. Fuck off. Like,
Dev is judgmental.
So
am I, but
I had fun watching it.
I'll allow it,
like,
but I just don't get it.
Well, here's the thing. So, plot point wise, sure, questionable call. But I think overall, it's just a fun movie. I think it's
love potions, man.
No, there were too many plot issues that I had with that movie.
Like they had, I mean, there are definitely a couple of plot issues, more than a few. But I think overall, like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the potential that franchise could give. I guess is ultimately why
in my opinion, is you throw that movie in there and it just starts to mess with so much, like McGonagall being a teacher at that time when she was a kid previously during that time. She would have been 6 originally, but now she's a teacher.
I don't even think she was born yet.
Yeah,
it was like 6 years before she was born, or something like that. Maybe it was Miss McGonagall Senior.
Not to say, I mean, like that's the other thing. I'm aware that's a weak argument, but I'm like, you never know. Like,
again, but that's why you don't say. That's why you just don't do that.
No, yeah, I agree that there's way too many questions.
You just said Miss McGonagall. Everyone's gonna like, Miss McGonagall? What? Or I mean, the whole fucking like love plot of that movie of the she's a love good, right? That's what they were. Are they? What are they? The daughter character who like is trying to figure out. They're not love goods, are they? I don't remember their name. There's an important name. But like,
I think that's correct. I don't.
Okay, but like, she dies in such a piss poor way.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
The more I dissect, the more I dislike. It's like me with Rise of Skywalker.
Like with what?
Rise of Skywalker. The more I dissect, the more I dislike.
I mean, yeah. All right, Steven, what else you got?
Okay, other things I want to talk about here. Excuse me. That's exactly what I want to talk about. No.
Yeah.
A
I
Quiet
rated it 6.
Place. So, A Quiet Place. You've seen that movie, right, Jay?
Yep.
Okay, so A Quiet Place has its sequel coming out, A Quiet Place 2.
We
it
had
was
stuff with that branding on it, like bugles at work.
Mhm.
When I was supposed to come out in
Yeah,
March.
Yeah, March 20th was when it was originally scheduled to release, but then COVID happened and
Yep.
that didn't happen. However, there's, as well as talks of Quiet Place 2 still coming out, there's now talks of a Quiet Place expanded universe where
Interesting.
they're essentially
Already?
yeah, where the idea here is there isn't much known behind this, but what's happening is it's going to be directed by the same director as the first movie and produced by
Oh.
John Krasinski, so the guy who made the Quiet Place idea originally. But it's going to be a completely different set of characters, but set in the world. And
Interesting.
yeah, and the reason I brought that up is because, like Dev said already, there's going to be an expanded universe about this. The only other thing that I could compare this to, expanded universe wise, would maybe be like Cloverfield Paradox stuff.
Or Dark Universe.
But the
Which
Dark
had planned their
Universe,
universe.
I barely consider that a thing.
It's okay. So, like, I come from this. I'm kind of getting like this again, just the expanded universe, like different stories, different characters and stuff, but still not the same thing. Like Fear the Walking Dead is kind of where I'm.
That's that. I get that. Like that was where I was thinking too.
And there's
Which
the
Only
New
if
Walking
Dead
Dead
is not
show
bad.
coming out.
Only it's with honestly things that are scarier than any walker ever. Because honestly, if I have to pick zombie apocalypse or having to fight off the things that'll hear me if I sneeze, I'm gonna go with the freaking zombies. Honestly, like 10 out of 10 times, I'm gonna fight me some zombies.
Yeah, like don't get me
Over
wrong,
the head, cool, not a problem. Well, I gotta worry about it. It's gonna shuffle to the left on me. Like, yeah, sure, I got that.
zombies are awful. But I'd rather fight zombies than much else.
Yeah,
There's enough
Zombies are
rednecks in the world to take care of zombies.
I was about to say, you just gotta worry about the smell after you're done.
Alright. Next bit of news here that I have to talk about. We'll start with, since we're kind of in the horror world, we'll talk about Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele's working on a third horror movie. It doesn't have a title yet. It is scheduled to come out sometime in the year 2022, July 22nd of 2022, by the look of it, actually. And right now, Universal Pictures is calling it Jordan Peele's Horror Event. But that's all we know. Like, so I'm interested, being as he did Get Out and then Us, those being some really good, like, social horror movies.
Also, like when he first started doing horror movies, I mean, you want to talk about something that just come right out of left field, at least to me.
I was about to say, to me, it makes sense. Like, having gone and studied schooling that I did, like, I focused a lot on horror, and then occasionally I learned things about, like, comedy and things. And setup to horror and comedy are pretty similar. It's just the payoff is different.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I could definitely see the mechanic of that.
Yeah, mechanically, they're fairly the same.
Because I didn't do schooling, but having worked on the other side of haunted houses and things and trying to set that stuff up, it's still entertainment value, but in a different way.
I love horror. So it's always entertaining. Yeah.
Not
Last
like we didn't know that already.
Shut up. Last bit of news that I have for today, is before we start talking about next week and things, is Chris Pratt is going to star in a new movie alongside what's his name?
Oh, what's his name?
Yes,
Man,
absolutely.
he's done some great movies.
He has done some pretty great movies. He's starring alongside Wu Jing in a Russo brother remake of Saigon Bodyguards.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, neither did I. But apparently it's a Vietnamese action comedy, which was originally released in 2016, and now is being remade, I guess, 6 years later in America.
So this sounds like one of these cult classic things that, hey, let's bring it back up to the spotlight and see what happens.
I don't even think it's that. Like, sometimes American Hollywood takes advantage of the fact that Americans don't watch foreign films. So they'll take an idea from a
So
foreign
they have source
film.
material that's not theirs, and it's like they can pass it off as original. That's very fair.
Yep.
That's very. I have zero trouble believing that at all.
A lot of movies you've seen have that.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's
like The Grudge,
very,
for
that's
one,
very true.
is a
That's
very
been proven,
popular
yeah.
one. For instance,
The Ring.
The Ring.
I have a bit of. I don't know if you've talked about this yet. I don't know if it's going on over towards your, like, if you've heard about it. But the deal that AMC theaters are currently offering right now,
What is it right now?
you can rent out a theater for
Oh,
$100. Like,
Yeah, we talked about it, but apparently
I
they have a
think-
selected
I
like
think you guys did. Like,
list of movies that you can rent, like you could do it with. If there's a list, pre-planned, all that. You can't just come in and choose a movie.
I mean, it would make sense for them to be like a set list of stuff, but provided that the list is relevant, I don't think I'd much care if I was willing to spring for that.
well, I would rather just be able to rent the entire thing and play video games.
Yeah, but that requires putting additional hardware that's not theirs, and
It wouldn't be that hard to set up. Just a couple of plugins.
well, yeah, I already set up. It's just that coming from an IT standpoint alone, I can actually see the hesitation in that. And coming from a business who would like to attract probably other people, I can also see why that would be another bad idea.
Hey, you're gonna attract people if you let people set up consoles in there. I'm just gonna say it.
True.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but there's other variables that they didn't plan for. And
Could
won't
you
plan for.
imagine playing 8-person Smash?
You know,
Hyrule Castle.
I've
on
never
that big of a screen.
I'm very thankful that I'm not part of the population that has seizures and stuff while playing video games. Yet I feel that would do it.
Duh, that's so
Yeah.
much.
I actually
Oh my god, it'd be
like
great though.
with the sensory overload. No, I actually think this is a horrible idea.
I mean,
I'm not even trolling or trying to be trying to be conflicting. I actually genuinely think that would be a horrible idea for the sensory overload.
I'll be honest. I had an experience in college once where I had mushrooms and I decided to play Smash Brothers. And for me, I couldn't play because it was a sensory overload. But as soon as I put the controller down and just watched, I had a great time. So, I mean, that's different than, of course, seizures. But I'm not sure it'll be too much of an overload.
I think it would be a blast, man, because that's like you need that big of a screen for 8 people. Because let's be real, you're playing on a normal TV, like 8 people gets chaotic.
Which pixel is me?
At least on that big of a screen, you can track yourself more, right?
Potentially. I can see your point of view. I think it would be too much for me, honestly.
All right. Last thing I want to talk about before I talk about our plans for next week is one thing that I like to do on occasion with Dev is talk about what shows we've been watching. Anything that has really caught our attention lately. And seeing as Jay, this is your first time in a long, long time of being on the show. Have you seen anything super interesting lately on TV?
So
or
I've seen
movies?
So for kind of recent developments for me, obviously Mandalorian season 2
Mm-hmm. That one started recently.
is a must for anybody. If you haven't seen season 1, you need to get on that. And also a show that I heard a bit about, never watched, and I'm now anxiously awaiting the next season. Peaky Blinders.
Oh, okay.
Which can be found on Netflix. It's like a set in the British Industrial Revolution. Peaky Blinders is the name of a gang, and run by a group of brothers called the Shelby Brothers. And Thomas Shelby, who I'm gonna look up because I keep forgetting his name. uh, Cillian Murphy.
Okay.
So, and he's like phenomenal. Like Tom Hardy is even in the series now. Like,
Nice. Tom Hardy's in everything, man.
dude, and I mean, and he's one of these. He's rapidly becoming one of my favorite chameleon actors, honestly, because he can be in anything he fucking wants. So, but yeah, great series. There's like 4 or 5 seasons on Netflix. I highly recommend.
Okay. How about you, Dev? Anything new you watched recently?
I've been watching Mando. I'd say that's the only thing I've really been watching lately. Been listening to podcasts. That's about it. Outside of it,
Understandable.
oh
Get your media where you can when you're not streaming.
yeah, pretty much. Been mostly just watching YouTube because it's shorter. I just haven't dove into a series. Still working through One Piece, of course, but I've just taken a small break, small breather. So
That's understandable.
it's totally not marked past me. And I'm like, all right, stayed ahead of him as long as I could. He's got to be on a different pace because he's reading the manga. He's able to take it a little bit faster than I could take it. I'm just gonna take a small break.
I'll let this guy get ahead of me. I'll pick up the scraps. There's always a video that I can watch later.
Exactly.
Dude, knew a guy, kind of like you talk about like pacing of keeping up with stuff. Knew a guy who only could stand to watch any kind of anime dubbed, and
Okay.
so he only just very recently finished Dragon Ball Super, Tournament of Power arc. I'm like, how did you tolerate waiting for that? Honestly,
You 3 years.
and he's like, yeah, honestly, it's it's just a different release schedule, and you just kind of learn to live with it. I'm like, while some animes I prefer dubs, if the content's good enough, I don't care to read. I'll be straight up with you. I do not care at all to read.
Well, I prefer doing subbed because I feel like you get more of the inflection of the original intent for some of it. Not to say
Yeah.
that dub is bad, because there are
No.
there are some like I have to watch Dragon Ball dubbed.
Yeah.
Just because it's what I grew up with, so hearing it
Yeah.
different always throws me off.
Same.
But like I was watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and there was a time where I switched without realizing I'd switched.
From dub to subbed and
From
didn't
dub to
care.
sub, and I didn't notice it. Which goes to show that both sides of the voice acting good. But like I transferred over without really realizing it. And I was like, oh, I thought I went through this entire thing subbed. And our mutual friend Joe Steven was like, no, you started with dubbed because I started it with you. I'm like, I did the same thing with Sword Art apparently as well. Like I watched the beginning half in dub, and then I watched Elfheim in sub. But Elfheim fucking sucks.
Yeah, that sucked. So
I watched.
For some reason, I haven't come back to that show because of Elfheim. Everyone's like, "Oh, the later stuff's good." I'm like, "Fuck it."
you don't want to learn about the Gun Gale and then the Gun Gale side series?
You can actually skip Alfheim. You can even skip Gun Gale. I didn't think Gun Gale was that bad. But once you get into Sword Out Alicization, that actually you would fall in love with the series again. And you don't really. Yeah, but you don't even need. You kind of need a little bit of the story of Alfheim with kind of what happens. There's like
I've watched Elfheim. I watched through fucking Elfheim. Don't worry.
Okay.
I finished the first chunk.
Well, then just
I
skip
just didn't
Gun Gale.
continue after it because I was like, this shit was dumb.
Skip Gun Gale and just go to Alicization. You have one kind of detail from Gun Gale. You actually have 2 details that you kind of would miss out that make an appearance in Alicization. But other than that,
You're telling the wrong person to do that, though. I'm going to watch through all of it if I watch it.
Oh, well, watch it. I thought Gun Gale was okay.
You'll also have to watch the Netflix original series that is a Gun Gale spinoff. They have 8 episodes.
No, you don't.
I canceled my Netflix again, all right?
It's no worries.
No,
Because they're price hiking again.
Mm-hmm. Funny. All right. I was going to say, for me, though, when it comes to shows and things, of course, Mandalorian, like you guys said, I actually watched all of Star Trek Picard in about a week. The first season that they had of Star Trek Picard that came out very recently. and that one is very different Star Trek. Like all of the other Star Treks are around like a crew of people doing their adventures through space. Star Trek Picard is like Picard trying to build himself back up after being a tired old man. And I thought that was really interesting. It's a completely different genre of Star Trek.
Huh.
So I would recommend it, honestly, if you wanted something
Old
that's
man
slightly
Picard.
different. Yeah, I liked it. That being said, I also ended up watching Hellsing Ultimate Abridged twice.
Yes!
Because the first time I watched it, I watched all of the episodes all the way through. And then an hour, literally 1 hour after I finished the last episode.
What dropped?
The commentary of dropped on their stream VOD channel. I was like, well, fuck, no, I have to watch that. So I rewatched it all.
And what did you think? This is a carryover from last week's Har podcast, by the way. So
yeah, and I'm bringing this up now only because I'm not sure. I'll be at the show late tomorrow. I'm just not sure around what time.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny. It was definitely hilarious. Though I do remember why I didn't watch it originally was because of the 1 year release. I wanted to watch more than just the one and then wait a year and then watch the next and then wait. So, yeah. I watched them all, and then I spent a little while trying to work on an Alucard accent, and I realized I can't because I don't have enough.
Because it's Takahata 101.
Yeah, I don't have enough
such a
depth.
Unique voice.
Yeah.
He like often imitated, never duplicated. This is
No, yeah, like his Nappa is fantastic. His Cell is fantastic. His Guru, I can kind of do. No.
dude. I love
No.
God. Him as Cell. I think that has to be my favorite. Like
But say him as Cell, like I'll even be honest, I don't.
the final flash scene with him and Vegeta. Like my favorite line of dialogue is like, "Give me a moment, all you'll be feeling is oblivion. Either that or disappointment. Go ahead, flip that coin."
I'm like that coin.
Oh, that was great.
I still just love.
Give me what your daddy couldn't.
And I had it my way. Yeah.
I love that the Kai version of it does the other my way song, which is such a funny fucking little like in joke. I don't know, it's just so fucking
Yeah.
ah.
Though I'll be
Great.
honest, after watching the abridged twice, I definitely walked around my house going, I need to hear you say it.
I need
to hear it.
I need to hear it.
You were right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Go shove your own foot up your ass. Something like that. It was good. So
jump up your own ass
Bitches
and die.
love cannons.
So watching the
Oh.
commentary, it was kind of interesting to go back and the like. They were definitely like, "This is the darkest thing that we've ever filmed ever," and like it's pretty dark. But at the same time, they're like, they're saying some really awful things, and it's like they're not getting any hate now, 10 years later, that a lot of people would be for saying those things. So there's that at least. That's a positive.
Dude, real
Well,
talk.
they also have a somewhat diverse group with a lot of LGBTQ members in their team.
I was about to say,
Like
especially with
Scott,
yeah, I was about to say Scott there.
which did a lot of the writing. So it's just like, I think it's a because they're part of a lot of the communities they had the jokes about. Because you could go back and watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and there's certain moments where like, I don't know if that joke's any good, like in hindsight. But at the same time, like, times have changed a ton since when they started doing those shows. Doesn't excuse maybe the use of those jokes, and they admit that they're like, yeah, no, some of these were just lazy. But at the time,
I love
they
that
were
they
acceptable.
in that commentary, they're every time they're like, "Why the hell did we do this reference?" I don't know. We just did. It's like that's a Boondock Saints reference, and that's the best stolen Boondock Saints line I've ever written. It's like, Jesus, why did we quote Curious George? We just did.
So most of Dragon Ball Z Abridged too.
Yeah. So I might
Why did we do
honestly,
this?
Yeah. So next week I might honestly spend 6 hours watching their commentary of the Brawly movies. Brawly abridged
Oh.
movies.
Oh, well.
So yeah.
No, just watch through all of the abridged movies.
I love that part of Broly and Bridge Vegeta's in the background. It's like Broly is the devil. You hear Vegeta in the background. Oh my god, he's so damn cool!
I love that part though. Excuse me, but you've been forgetting one thing. Broly's wife. No, you're king. What's a king to a god? And what's a god to a non-believer? Boom!
Yep.
What now? So cool.
When I think of Vegeta, though, I think of he keeps kicking me in the dick. Why does he keep kicking me in the dick?
Kicking me in the dick.
Oh my gosh, we have got to end the
Yeah,
show.
we're done.
going
We're-
to go
we're
another
rambling.
hour
Hold
with
on.
these
Next
references.
week's movies.
Yeah,
movies.
next week.
Snowpiercer and Annihilation. Kind of the apocalyptic movies or books based off movies.
I don't
sort of.
remember specifically. What is it? Literally just called Annihilation? Is there
Yeah.
some? Okay, I'll have to remember what movie
Yeah.
that was
I believe it's the one with Natalie Portman. Remember correctly.
I like that.
Oh, that one. Yeah, it's kind of like a
Yeah,
plot
2018
twist.
film. Yeah. That's the one with Natalie Portman.
Annihilation.
There's a
Okay,
horror fiction based on the book from
That's right.
2014.
I remember now. I just couldn't remember picking that movie because everything else is like Maze Runner, The Desolation. I don't know. So
Yeah, a biologist signs up for a dangerous secret exploration into the mysterious zone where the laws of nature don't apply.
all right. So yeah, that's next week.
And then Snowpiercer, which I've been pushing for over 2 years to happen on this fucking show, and it's finally fucking happening. Fuck you!
I'll rate it really lowly just for you.
Don't you fucking dare! Snowpiercer is fantastic.
1.25.
Yes, exactly. All right, so
I swear to God.
we're done here. We're 100% done here. We have said everything we wanted to say. Jay, thank you
And
for being
then
here. Appreciate your commentary and your insight, and you're welcome back anytime. Especially since you know
My
you're a
pleasure.
founder of the channel. So
Yeah, I'll see you in
Still have the
another year.
contract.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, thanks everybody, and we will see you. Some of us will see you tomorrow for the Har Har podcast. But otherwise, later. Bye.
Bye.
We out of here.
Fuck Eragon.